Reform UK holds a controversial press conference introducing and announcing defections by more centrist politicians from the Uni Party. The party leadership continues to reject the implementation of radical patriotic policies, even if reform gets into government, and criticism of the party chairman Yusuf has now been labelled as racist. Hello everybody, welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel, and a special hello to the 782,000 beautiful people who have now subscribed to this channel. Now, let's talk about what happened earlier today. Reform UK made a major announcement. It was kind of underwhelming, but there were a number of issues with this press conference in which they announced the introduction of new politicians who have defected from the Uni Party. These are the centrist politicians, the middle ground, liberal-minded people who have now joined Reform UK to dominate the centre ground and abandon the right-wing policies, which again, Nigel Farage and Reform in the past were accused of being right-wing, but they want to say we're not right-wing, and they've also publicly, obviously, rejected any idea of implementing right-wing policies, even if they form a government. So a lot of people thought that, well, it's okay, let Reform win, and then they will do the right-wing things. But they said, no, we're not going to do that because we're not populist or nationalist in that sense. So let's give you guys the update. Get your reaction in the live chat, in the comment section. There's the live poll as well, asking you whether you believe that for Reform UK, whether it's best to have more uni-party establishment politicians, or whether we need fresh faces from the outside to actually get into politics, frontline politics. So Yusuf, the chairman of Reform UK, led this press conference, opened it, and introduced the party leader, Nigel Farage. First things first, obviously, this whole thing was at the heart of the power in Westminster, the Royal Horse Guards Hotel, a very, very classic Westminster bubble sort of a venue to make this announcement. It's a classic Westminster bubble thing. Now, Nigel Farage obviously said, I announce 29 local councillors who have joined Reform UK from across the country. They are former representatives of all major political parties and none. So we can now confirm 13 of these people are liberal Tories who have now joined. One of them is from the Liberal Democrats, and more people from the Lib Dems obviously are joining Reform now. 14 of them are centrist independents who are not right-wing, and also one from independent Labour Party. So this is quite interesting because obviously if you want to dominate the centre ground, that's how you do it. But obviously there's a big chunk of the country who at this point wants a political party that represents more radical ideas, because we need a whole shake-up in the system. But we don't have that in the UK. Having said that, tomorrow, Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Tory party, is also making a major announcement, apparently a reset to the Tory party agenda, a renewal. I think we should expect probably relatively radical ideas. The Tories have a different problem because they still can't be trusted. So it's going to take a while for them to be able to gain that support. But they have to start with actually introducing some radical ideas first, then work hard on that. The Tories, it's a tough job for that party. Let's just say that. Now, going back to this big day for Reform, the problem with the announcement of the 29 defections, because that was a whole perception, big chunk of people defecting. Actually, of the 29, only 9 of them were actually new. So only 9 of these people were new defections. 22 of them, or 21 of them, I think, 21 of them were already previously announced anyway, including some of them with Nigel Farage himself. But, I mean, to brag about the numbers, that's one issue, but it's not the number, it's the quality of the people who have defected, who are classic mainstream uniparty centrists. That's the other thing. So this is the new relaunch of a Reform to be less radical and more centrist in order to basically get more support from Labour, Lib Dems and the Tories, which means that those who want more radical ideas to drain the swamp of the establishment, all this, they don't really have any option when it comes to parliamentary parties. Now, there are smaller parties, radical parties out there, but no party right now in Parliament is providing those options. So the British electorate, they are in a bit of a pickle compared to any other country like France, Germany, the Netherlands, the United States, even Canada. We don't really have that option on the table. Now, going to the issue of the actual press conference himself, this was a press conference, right? But at the end of it, the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage, and the chairman of the party, Yusuf, refused to take questions from the press at the press conference. They didn't take questions from the press. Instead, what Nigel Farage did afterwards, he did individual selected media interviews, obviously controlled afterwards, but not a spontaneous, transparent questions from the press who were there. And obviously Reform UK are also not inviting anymore new media outlets. It's not just 2CTV, but the others as well. It's the opposite of what we're seeing in the White House with President Trump, in which the White House press conferences actually have more new media outlets coming in, but in Britain it's the other way around. So new media outlets are being pushed out completely, and not just 2CTV, but others as well. So that's nice. Going back to what happened at the press conference itself, there was a moment where everybody was just like, oh, what is going on here? Nigel Farage made a speech about the criticism of his party chairman, Mohammed Ziyad Yusuf. And he said that these attacks are racist. A lot of the criticism have been fairly about Ziyad Yusuf's management, but also there have been a number of attacks online about Ziyad Yusuf's religious ideology, which is Islam. For the record, Islam is not a race. So if you criticize someone who's Islamic, it's not racist. You could call it anything else. You could call it anti-Muslim, for example, but it's not necessarily racist. But obviously, as a new centrist establishment mainstream party, Reform UK is choosing to go with the council culture approach that, just call it racist. I'm going to show you the clip because Nigel Farage interestingly said to the media, if this attack was happening on Diane Abbott, you would have shown outrage. But we have seen outrage over the last week or so. The criticism on Ziyad Yusuf has already been called basically racist and Islamophobic by the media. Watch this.
But I do want to say one thing. Some of the online abuse and frankly outright over racism that has been showed against a senior member of this party, had it been shown towards any other member of the ethnic minorities from the Labour and Conservative parties, every one of you in the journalistic arena in this room would have been in total and absolute uproar.
We have to move away from identity politics. That individuals have to be classified as ethnic minorities, for example. Ziyad Yusuf is an individual human being, and he's being judged obviously based on his merit, and also yes, people have also been attacking him based on his religious ideology, right? But saying that, well, if you criticize, then you're attacking an ethnic minority. I mean, the guy is a millionaire, so it's not like some sort of vulnerable minority in that sense. But the issue is, yes, we can make an argument that a lot of people were attacking him, basically what you can call an anti-Muslim rhetoric, right? But again, Islam is not a race, so you can call it out, but you have to be clear about what it is. But it was a general comment about criticizing Ziyad Yusuf. It wasn't apparently just racism, it was overly racist. But then there was also a point where there was a question afterwards when it was a selected one-on-one individual media interview where the party leader Farage was asked about Rupert Lowe. and whether Rupert Lowe is now dead to reform. And this was the response.
You mentioned just finally there, Rupert Lowe. Is he dead to you? Can he get back in if he's cleared by the investigation or the KC?
Well, let's just see what the investigations say. I wasn't very happy last week. He suggested that I'd try to stop him talking about rape gangs. I mean, nonsense. But look, let's wait and see.
So the answer was a no. When it was asked, is he dead? Let's see, basically sitting on the fence at this point. But there was already a confirmation that obviously Reform UK, not just with Rupert Lowe, but other members obviously have told them, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, that's too radical, that's too populist, that's too nationalist. That's already out there anyway, but I'm not really sure why it's called accusations. So that is the response from the party leadership. Ben Habib responded to that comment about racism, saying people keep saying Rupert Lowe and I should stop fighting for our country. They say Nigel Farage is super famous, we should vacate the field and leave it to him. Here's the thing. Farage is incapable of saving the UK. In office, he would do massive damage. We love our country. We will fight on. This is the narrative right now from the cultist loyalists, obviously Team Farage, which is kind of fascinating. So they say, all this, the attacks are not working. Reform UK is still popular, it's still going up. That's not a good thing. So they say, but we're going to win. It's all about winning. So you guys are losers. No. Their fear is that Reform UK will win. It's not a good thing that Reform UK could win. It's a problem that Reform UK would win because of the policy program. So go back to 2019. Boris Johnson as Tory leader and candidate to become Prime Minister was popular. With everything now you now know about Boris Johnson's government, you know, the betrayal, the letting down the electorate and the voters, right? Everybody. Based on what you now know, go back to 2019. The Tory supporters are saying, Boris supporters saying, we're winning. Would you not look back and tell them with a time machine, no, don't be excited, because being popular and getting support is actually a problem, because you're going to become complacent and your Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is going to let down the country. It's not about being popular or winning. It's about what you do with the power that you have. Tony Blair was popular in 1997. Look what he did. And there were those who said, well, wait, because once they're in power, they're going to implement the good policies. We've already got the confirmation that they have rejected the implementation of any radical policies or populist policies or patriotic policies. Now, if you then say to me, no, they have to say that now. Firstly, I know Nigel, he's not going to do radical policies because he's not. he's not a populist. But let's just say, you have to say that now, then to get into government. That is not a good thing. You are basically encouraging bad behavior. You are saying it's a political game. You have to lie to win power. Then once you're in power, you basically ignore what you said and you implement different policies, radical policies. That is disgusting. I don't care if you're right wing or left wing. I do not want anybody, my candidate or my party or whatever, to win based on a lie. That is absolutely disgusting. Exactly what Tony Blair did. And then you would say, well, yeah, but that's how it works. They've done it for... Just because that's how it worked before doesn't mean we should continue it. The system is broken because we have parties and political leaders and candidates who could keep lying and lying and lying. And then once they're in power, then you do something opposite. Keir Starmer did that. Starmer had a 10-point plan as leadership candidate in 2020. Once he became a Labour leader, he did the exact opposite. That's not integrity. That is wrong. We don't need more centrism. It's too much centrism. You don't have to come up with crazy policies. You don't have to come up with a manifesto saying nuke Mars. We don't have to nuke Mars. Policies that used to be radical are now more common. The Danish government is doing it. The US government is doing it. The Canadian Conservatives are proposing it. Anything from the ideas of doing an investigation into the bureaucracy, the establishment, to the grooming gangs, to mass deportations, to actually promoting British values. These things are no longer radical because other countries, the conservative side and the populist sides, are doing it anyway. But apparently in Britain, we're still 20 years behind because even discussing these ideas, too radical, it's too controversial, you can't talk about it. Even the so-called right-wingers refuse to acknowledge it. Now we'll wait till tomorrow to see what that other idiot, Kemi Badenoch, is going to talk about, because the Tory leader is going to be announcing a major reset, renewal, as she calls it. Don't get me started with that one. All right. If only they had elected Robert Jenrick. All right, let's go back to some reactions from you guys. Clipper, thank you for your super chat, saying Reform needs to learn that chasing votes from the Muslims is like trying to nail a runny fart to the wall, as it is not only stinks. Oh, it doesn't only stinks, but in the end, you get covered in S. Thanks for that image. Desmond says, how long before Nigel reports them to the police? Reports whom to the police? Oh, they're new politicians. No, they're all centrist. They're all middle ground minded. They're fine. They'll be fine. They're team players. Kylo Ren says Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib need to make a right-wing party, take control at the next election, make Britain great again. Again, I've said this before, it's very hard to start parties. But there is definitely a space for an actual right-wing party. I don't know what the Tories are doing. Ivan says the formed party are now Lib Dems. But they're getting a lot of Lib Dems now, so... Globalists got to reform since they got into Parliament. UKIP it is then. And Ivan also says it didn't take long for useless, as in CEO Yusuf, to play the race card. Well, to be fair, that Nigel did that, but yeah. Stu says that they started with the right-wing talk, went left to get more members, said F you to the people who got them started, and proved that they will lie to get votes. Labour 3.0. That's kind of escalated from Tories 2.0 to Labour 3.0. Totalitarian says, if liberals think they represent Muslims, the reality is they will be fighting against the people who used to be Muslim as well. It is an oxymoron. I don't understand the problem with these liberal-minded people who actually think they can get along with the Islamists. At this point, I doubt if someone had planned to destroy reform from within with a hidden agenda. I doubt that they could have done it better than Farage has. So this won't destroy reform. This will actually help reform rise as a part of the uniparty system. So it's actually succeeding from their perspective. See the idea, right? So if you're part of the uniparty system, then you can play inside the system, just be nice and moderate, as they will call it. So that's a success for them. And they will get the big money, the party donors will come. There's a lot of money in it, by the way. And but that's it. But it's not really a success for the sake of the, any whatever you want to call it, the cause, the more patriotic cause. Ivan says, how can you be overly racist? Yeah, what's the... little racist, just a little bit racist compared to overly racist. How can you be overly racist? Is it about how you say the N word? How loud you say it? I don't understand it. Misha says, hey, Fragile, proving he can be bought and paid for. We need radical policies to correct things. Fragile is good. Fragile for this Islamification of the UK. We have another comment saying a centrist party can't fight against fascist Islam. Farage is a fool to think they can control Islam. Many tried before. Muslims are the victims of Islam. Yeah. Again, look at Lebanon, look at Jordan, look at Iran, look at Syria. Over decades and centuries as well. Tesbot says, imagine criticizing a religion that's responsible for the majority of terrorist attacks globally, believes in child marriage, a violent subjugation of the entire world. I don't understand. See, Tesbot, you are now being overly racist, as they call it. Overly racist. We moved from that lot to overly racist very fast. Aaron says, Farage said on the EU referendum day that he didn't think we would vote out on record. Yeah, he has always been controlled opposition. UKIP betrayed Brexit. UKIP betrayed Brexit. Reform betrayed. Yes. Reform is doing its best to alienate the hundreds of thousands of new media followers. The rot set in when Yusuf became chairman. Idiots. I love how a lot of people thought this morning when the press conference was announced. There was a lot of rumors on social media saying, oh, this could be the resignation speech where like Nigel's going to announce that CEO Yusuf has been sacked. So like, in a history of humanity when it comes to British politics, we've never had a press conference with all the journalists there for a party leader to announce the chairman being sacked. No, what they usually do, either early morning or late evening, they do a quiet press release to the newspapers, announce it like that. You do not want journalists to be in a room when you're mentioning that your chairman is being sacked. I was reading the post, I'm like, what are people thinking? Of course he's not going to sack CEO Yusuf is using a press conference. Eventually CEO Yusuf will be thrown under the bus, but not now and not like this. The Viking says, I am late. Why are we nuking Mars? Islamic State. That's just a radical policy. Why not? We one of my only big radical policy ideologically is my libertarian side of my brain says and which is a legitimate idea, by the way. Privatize the oceans. Do it. You might say, what? What does that mean? You have to privatize the oceans. Under the control of the international law, too much. Privatize it. Do it now. Vinnie King says, later, happy Paddy's Day. Oh yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to all you treacherous Irish. Love the Irish, they're good people, unless they're left wing. But yes, hope you guys all get drunk. Although I do feel for the Welsh and the Scots and even the English when it comes to St. George's Day. St. Patrick's Day is so international because the Irish went everywhere, especially in the US, right? So they just exported St. Patrick's Day. It just become an international get drunk day. And just wear green and get drunk. I don't think many people on St. Patrick's Day know actually what it's about. But any excuse to get drunk, why not? So happy St. Paddy's Day. Farage has always been a reactionary. Reactionary PMs is how we got into this mess. We need a leader who is not afraid to speak about the unpopular ideas that our country needs. This is a very good point. This is classic reactionary politics, which is, we thought it was just going to go away after Thatcher and Reagan. But both in the US and in the UK just came back. So we were sick and tired of the politics of Ted Heath, Callaghan, even Wilson, to an extent, although Wilson was less reactionary. For a Labour Prime Minister, he was quite proactive. I didn't agree with all his policies. And obviously, when it comes to the US as well, Jimmy Carter, we thought we moved away from the Jimmy Carter style of politics, but they brought it back. Reactionary politics from the likes of Bill Clinton and obviously Blair and even W, although W was less reactionary, but he was still pretty much center ground anyway. You just react to things. It doesn't really help anybody. Boris Johnson promised to be a proactive prime minister, a visionary, but he became even more reactionary. He just waited for a crisis to happen and then react to it. And then he messed up the reaction. If you want to be a reactionary politician, at least react better. For the love of God, you have to be visionary. Again, look at President Trump. He brought up problems before they became a crisis to address them. And when he was talking about them, it was way too early. So reactionaries don't like it, the mainstream media. So when he was talking about the problem with China about 15 years ago, people were laughing at him. When he was talking about Germany being too dependent on Russian gas and oil, they were laughing at him. Now you're in a crisis. You didn't listen to Trump. It's crazy, people. It doesn't work. Now, see, Lance says, let's be pragmatic. That's centrism. What is the real choice? Reform is the best of a bad job. UKIP and Tommy will get 2% of the vote. See, this is the thing what I said at the beginning of the live report. The priority for tribalists is winning, right? We're just winning. So winning is better than actually doing the good thing. So go back to 2019, what I said, Boris Johnson supporters, we're winning, you guys will lose. Reform, was it Reform? Brexit Party. Brexit Party, you will lose. You lose. Anybody else? Boris is winning. The problem is that you're winning. Because once you're in power, the policies are bad. That's the problem. It's not about winning. It's about what you do after you win. It's crazy. Also, the latest policy announcement, which was, by the way, the whole big announcement of by Richard Tice, deputy leader, which was in the name of being against net zero. Everybody got excited. Ooh, anti-net zero. That's going to be radical. No, higher taxes. How is that going to help anybody? So Reform's idea, once they're in power, to introduce higher taxes to tackle net zero taxes. I'm like, no, we already have solutions. Literally, we got so many options on the table, but no, they don't want to do that. It's crazy. See, this is again incorrect. You win elections by taking the center ground. Just sort the asylum shambles out. No, you don't. Even centrists, sensible centrists, if that's even a thing, have come out to say that. Actually, guys, give me a second. We have problems here. Hang on. Hello, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was dramatic. I had to deal with something. Where was I? Oh, yes. Even those who are so-called intellectuals have already come out to confirm that it's 2025. We don't have the center ground. Center ground doesn't exist anymore. People, the big chunk of voters from both sides already know what side they are on. We don't have floating voters much anymore. The whole point of the 1990s politics and 2000s politics was that they were going for the floating voter middle class center ground because they could change their mind. Could be Republican, Democrat, Tory, Labour. Those days are gone. You got radical sides. You basically have big chunk of people who would be voting left wing or would be voting right wing, or you could call it something else. You know, some people don't like to be calling it left or right. It doesn't matter. But that is gone. And also, it's not about winning elections, as I said. What's the point of winning elections if your policy ideas are terrible? Have good policy ideas. All right. Tesbot says the UK is screwed, I fear. A little bit. Ivan says, Nigel Farage, that's rude. That is overly racist. Has lost it. Vinny says, I am the bastard son of an Irishman. Oh, that explains a lot, Vinny. Anyway, let's get some non-super chats as well while we're here. Oh, one of my favorite trolls are back. Here we go. RJ's clips. Do you really think that Ice Cream Tommy Robinson, when did that become a nickname for him, has any chance of getting in? No, because Tommy Robinson is not in politics. He's not running for office. No, he doesn't want to do party politics. Also, why do you want Tommy as a leader? That'll be chaotic. I know Tommy, I love him, but it'll be terrible. But he's got some good ideas. And why don't you advise all your viewers to vote for reform? Because that's not my job. Or you obviously anti-European. You're also a moron. You've spelled your incorrectly. Anti-European. Well, if you mean anti-EU European, yes, I am. Good luck with it. What is he talking about? None of that made sense. Because no one's talking about Tommy. Tommy hates politics. They're trying to force him to come to frontline politics, but no, he doesn't want to do that yet. I mean, he might change his mind, but right now he's not even a candidate. Secondly, yeah, these Nigel loyalists are weird. They can't even spell. Bloody hell. Anti-European. I love how the Nigel cultists are supporting Europeanism. We are British. We don't do Europeanism in this country. Very different cultures. Dear. Dark says, 2CTV membership benefit, more roasting of RJ's clips. I appreciate him because he's a masochist, RJ's clips. He just comes back every day after day, to get roasted. He makes it easy. Anyway, let's wait for him. There's a couple of super chats while we wait for RJ's clips. Barbara says, where did you go? Hope you didn't answer the door. It was close. No, so we've just ordered new 4K cameras, and they came, and apparently I had to give a code to the Amazon person, so that's why I had to disappear. Anyway, I'm back. P-Bear, thank you. The Viking says, Tommy as Prime Minister? Love him, but please no. Imagine the chaos. It will be funny though. All right, where is this guy? Is he coming back? RJs, are you typing? Horde Gamer says, I'm proud to be European. Well, nothing wrong with Europeans. You know, we're just British. It's difference between being European and British, obviously. I voted against the EU, not Europeans. Are our neighbors and love them. Yeah, it's not about hating Europeans. Big chunk of the 2CTV viewers are Europeans. It's just a difference between British mentality and European mentality. It's not really about hating them. Actually, some of the best ideas are coming from the European conservatives right now, rather than the British side. Right. Actually, the closest to us are the Dutch, because both the Dutch and the Brits became the trading nations for obvious reasons. And actually, the Germanic culture is also relatively closer to the British mentality, but that also goes back generations after generations of Germany and pre-Germany. Team Saxon. All right. Vinnie King says, ouch, don't expect a Christmas card. Oh, the Irish thing. The Irish. The Irish. Love the Irish. I should do a visit to Dublin. I do like Dublin. Stu says, we don't want Tommy in, we want him out. RJ, you actually, I just realized that's true. No, yeah, we don't want Tommy in, we want him out of jail. Get that right, RJ. Clipper says, would love to see Tommy as the foreign minister. For the lols, would be legendary. Imagine Tommy as foreign secretary. That would be something. I would love to just sit down with him at my first media interview with the new foreign secretary to ask the new foreign secretary if he can point on the map certain countries in Africa. Let's see if he knows where they are. I do love because President Trump, in his the latest speech to the Senate last week, he was talking about the USAID waste with foreign aid to all the countries. He mentioned, I think it was an African country, and even after he was like, no one knows where that is. No one knows who they are. No one knows where that is. Anyway, okay, let's take a break, because it's going to be a long day, ladies and gentlemen. It's kicking off between Syria and Lebanon. The Lebanese army getting involved, not just Hezbollah. It's all a bit of a mess. We're going to talk about that. And the Houthis. Oh, the Houthis are poking the bear again, as the remaining members of the Islamists in Yemen are trying their best to aim at the Americans, but failing. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.